ships to keep this economy afloat if we really want to. Captain, we own boat. So when the banks give small business horrors, but let money from outside investors, we stifling the chance. But self-reliance.
Yes, if you tell me, I will tell them that Tell Me is on.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell Me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows, and then there is Tell Me, your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain, and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all women in Nevis rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp. For From the Diaspora, 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers. This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM.
Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby.
Good night, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tell Me. We have a whole ton of stuff that will be happening coming up shortly, And so we are going to ask you to hold your calls for the first half an hour so that we can get through a number of things. And then we are going to be with you right up until 10 o'clock, maybe later, because Dr. Daly and Tulu, they told the world that when I'm absent, they do overtime. And when I'm here, I'm lazy and want to go home. So we might do some overtime tonight, depending on where we are. Tulu, how we do?
I'm not going to take blame.
I don't want you to take blame, babe. I miss you guys. I miss being in the studio with you guys.
We miss you too. I am grateful for the privilege of being here again another Thursday evening. Thank God for His grace and His mercy that sustained us, giving us a privilege again to share with people the truth as to what is taking place in our beloved island, and if we are not careful, that we will soon lose it. And so we have to be very, very careful with the decisions that we make. A special good evening to my brother Dig. I listened to this station yesterday morning and realized that Dig was on the radio station. Dig, it's a while now we haven't touched base, my brother. It's good to hear your voice. I don't know when I'll touch base with you, though. Special good evening to my sisters Sylvia, Janet, and also Valerie, to Helena, my niece, to my good friend and brother Elvan Ellie, and also to Romelo Jeffers and his lovely wife, to Lynette Leiber, in New York, also to my sister-in-law, pretty face Joyce. I separate Joyce and Dick tonight, Carlisle. Okay.
And then you put them together. You're just wicked and bad.
to Lavanda and Randa, and to all those who join us, thanks again for being with us.
Dr. Daly, how are you?
I'm good and getting better every day.
I see you're prolific. Your computer and your phone, they're now in the habit of automatic writing.
Yeah, my phone is overheating.
Yeah.
Sorry, the new phone.
Yeah. Let me say good evening and welcome back, by the way.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back and me out the seat there. That's a difficult seat. But we're glad to have you back in studio. Let me say good evening to all those who have joined the conversation here on a Thursday evening in Charleston. Very kind of muggy, hot, but we'll make it do before the sun hurricanes, but we're glad to have it. Let me say good evening to those on the FM dial, Twitch, YouTube, and of course the Facebook feed. Let me say good evening to my brother Hugh down there in St. Croix, my sisters Evan and Judith up in Connecticut, my brother Denny and his wife Twilla in New York, and my brother Carl down in Atlanta, my other brother Carl in Canada, and my brother right here on Nevis, Reverend Othniel Daly, and of course my good buddies over there in St. James, Starway Max in Westbury, St. James, no, St. Thomas is that side. Let me say good evening to Bose and Turkey and Gary over there in St. James and Max up there in Westbury. And all those who have joined us, a special good evening to all of you.
And I'm saying a very special good evening. This time I'm going to start at home. My brother Trevor and his family, every time I'm away, Trevor makes it possible for me to go away and he do all my functions. So when I come back, everything is good. Trevor, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. My sister Morvet, she sent me home to an empty house tonight. Kick me out. More of you ain't kick me out, but it sound good, so I say it. It's my mother's last child, and I really enjoy spending time with her. Had quite a few days with her. Morv, I enjoy spending time with you. My sister Mary is in Florida. I want to say good night to you and your husband as well. She was in New York for a couple of days, but I didn't get to see her. My brother Everett and his wife down there in Tortola. Hope that you're doing good. And of course, my sister Glenda across in St. Thomas, and my niece Sharifa over there. Alan and his lovely wife Dahlia. And Alan and I, we got to hook up again. We got to do another Powell overload. And so, Alan, I think you better clear out your calendar for the last Thursday in this month, because there are a lot of things that I want to hear your voice on. So we got to do another Powell overload. All those wonderful people up there in New York who gave us such a grand welcome and very warm reception. We want to say thank you to you. And guys, we also got a little sugar cake to keep Tell Me and the Year. So I'm going to make sure that I get to the bank and put that in the bank so that we can continue to talk the important things. Now, before we get too hot and heavy this evening, and I think we should do the birthday first of all, and then when we come from the birthdays, then we can tell you about a number of events that are coming up. I want to get to the birthdays before I forget, and then people have to call in to say you didn't do the birthday wishes. So let me pull up the calendar, and while I'm pulling up the calendar, let me say that we have to send out birthday greetings to Jaden Doe, who will be turning 3 on Sunday, and wishes are coming from Sierra, his dad Jonathan, and his granny Sharon. And then let me get to the listing to see what's happening in September. And on September 12th, Monique Evelyn, my very good friend. Monique, I ain't hear from you for a long time. So we want to say happy birthday to you. When it comes up, Monique, you're celebrating on Friday, tomorrow Friday. And then we have that young man, Rene Busu, who will be celebrating his birthday on Saturday. Rene, you got to go to church and celebrate. I know you go to church often, but do a special church service and celebrate well. My friend John Dell across the road here in the bank which faces us, John Dell, she's celebrating on Sunday. Romello and Nalda will be celebrating their 51st wedding anniversary on Sunday.
Hallelujah.
51.
Oh, wow.
You know. And so we want to reach out, Romello and your lovely wife, Nalda. We hope that you continue having fun living with one another. Monday the 15th, we have Vivian Smitten. And then the great Franklin Brown. I think he's the best head teacher the world ever made. We want to say happy birthday to Franklin Brown when it comes across. On the 15th, Michelle Liebert is also celebrating on the 15th. And Yolanda Dyer, that lovely lady up there in Gingerland, will be celebrating on the 15th. And the whole family sends love and best regards. On Tuesday the 16th, Tessa Howell will be celebrating along with Idona and Michaelia Lawrence. Those are the persons who will be celebrating on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we have Kyria Demanda Powell. Got to be is a Powell, got to be good. She will be celebrating. Those are what I have, gentlemen. You have any?
I just saw one here from Yolanda.
Oh, yes, so that's what we're going to do that.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. It's better. Go ahead with that.
He says advanced. Well, Daddy, he said, Daddy, your grandson celebrated his 12th birthday yesterday.
Yes.
You ain't got no shame. None.
I don't know what we're going to do with Tulu. Tulu forget everybody birthday. He forget his anniversary.
No, not anniversary.
You don't forget the anniversary.
Not that one. If it's one thing I'm going to remember is that anniversary, my brother.
Okay.
I think about that almost every day.
All right. Then.
Right. And so, wisdom, I hope that you had a good birthday, that everything went well, and that you, what he says now?
12.
12?
Your grandson name
12 was going to get all together.
Your grandson name is Wisdom?
Yeah, Wisdom.
Oh,
his first name is what to call it is...
Not Malachi.
No. I think it's Rick 1, Rick 1, and then it's Wisdom for me. I can't call those kind of French names.
All right.
Okay, let's do the birthday song.
You're gonna sing, right?
Well, I'm in the studio, so all you have people out there meeting me, telling me that I does be doing mini vanilli, just walking up my mouth and pretend that I'm singing, and I could sing. One of these days, I'm gonna sing it by myself, and
make it tonight, now.
No, not tonight. I gotta practice.
You've been doing this for so long. You need no practice.
I gotta practice, man.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And as usual from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and also 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Great. And now, gentlemen, we can dip into what's happening. Gingerland breakfast coming up. They have a breakfast which is coming up Let me see if it is on my system here. They normally early in terms of the month, but I see that there is a birthday coming up for Gingerland. Let me look on my phone, because you know I getting old now, so my eyes and them can't read them fine prints that they just have there. I think I did see our good man Lawson mention it, and he did put it up in fact. And I keep telling people, when you have events, we're gonna start a new policy. When you have events, you call in. Don't just send something. We want to hear your voice promoting your events. Don't just depend on us. Somebody from the group call in and promote the events. So this is coming up on Saturday the 13th, which is tomorrow Saturday, at 7 o'clock in the morning. And Gingerland normally have all the good things like stewed saltfish and stewed liver, sauteed sausages, scrambled eggs, hard-boiled eggs, Johnny cakes, pancakes, fresh fruits, green salad, the whole works. And so that's Gingerland breakfast coming up. Charlestown have one coming up as well?
Yeah, Charlestown breakfast is on Heroes Day, the 16th, which is on Tuesday. And the venue is going to be a little different. We're going to be right by Papa's Grill on the roundabout there, by next to Value Mart. So, but the same crew, the same good food, the regular stuff, saltfish, liver, Johnny cakes, pancakes, fruit, salad, breakfast potatoes, and local drinks.
You're gonna do that egg thing, you know?
Oh, of course, the eggs. We have
Okay.
the eggs, special eggs coming out.
Special eggs.
Special eggs. I laid the eggs myself.
Well, you like Chubinese. Okay, and then I should tell you as well that St. Thomas's will be having a whole week of activities. And on the 13th, they will be having a cleanup along the Island Main Road from Craddock Road to Westbury. On the 14th, which is Sunday, they will have community worship at 9 o'clock, Faith in Church Ministries in Barnesgot. On Monday, there is a community walkthrough starting at 5 o'clock in Westbury Village. On the 17th, there will be the J.W. Parry lecture series, and they said that they will give more details later. And then on September 18th, which is Thursday, they will be having a walkthrough. Starts at 5 o'clock in Craddock Road, and then they will end on September 20th with a family fun day at the Cotton Ground playing field. So that's a series of activities for number 5, St. Thomas's, and we wish them very well.
I just saw a note here that the breakfast was really well done for St. Thomas's.
Brilliant.
So we congratulate them on a spectacular breakfast. I didn't get any, nobody offered me none. So.
You reach late hour?
No, purely do good things, man. Anything that we do is good.
We put up the tent for them. The St. Paul's group have a tent that we purchased, and therefore they were the first group to rent it from us. I mean, of course, give them a hefty discount.
And the discount is not charged.
Never mind what discount is. You think you'll get it for free?
And you got to do transportation, so nothing wrong if you charge a little something.
One thing about the Charlestown breakfast also, we are now, because of the special Heroes Day, we'll be making deliveries throughout the greater Charlestown area. Okay. So you can call in and book your breakfast. It's only $20. If you care to donate a breakfast to somebody, it's Heroes Day, so you can be a hero for somebody. You feel free to link me or any member of the group, and we're going to get it done, expeditiously.
So you deliver free of cost?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And one other thing, on Tuesday, we also have the drawing for our...
Your raffle.
The raffle. Remember, the prizes are 5,000, 3,000, and 2,000. So we're supposed to be having a drawing sometime on Tuesday at the headquarters. And so that will be carried, I suppose, people can see exactly, it's authentic and nobody's fooling anybody. And so if you haven't bought your tickets yet, we still have tickets available. And it's only $50, and you can use $50 to win $5,000.
I just ordered some more tickets because those I had were sold out.
So I ordered some more. I ordered some more from the youth arm as well. Theirs will be drawn on Saturday on Target, I understand.
Yes.
Okay. So there are 2 sets of raffles being drawn. And listen, this is the first time that I've been selling ticket and Giselle ain't buying none from me. I believe it's you scare of Giselle. You told her she win too much, and Giselle frightened. She did not buy any tickets.
My apologies.
You know, so those 2 raffles are coming up, and we want you to participate. We want you to make sure that you give yourselves a chance, but more importantly, we want you to help the Nevis Reformation Party in our fundraising efforts. The other party in Nevis, I never hear them raise $1 yet.
They don't have to.
Oh, they pull the devil tail.
They got it made in the shade.
Okay. Never once in my whole life hear them have a fundraising event. But be that as it may, we move on. The next thing that I want to talk about, gentlemen, is the Save Nevis rally coming up tomorrow. Starts at 3 o'clock in the square here in Charlestown, the DR Walwyn Plaza. And we'll be starting at 3 o'clock. We'll be there with some very good music relevant to the cause that we are fighting. And I want to tell you from the beginning that this is not just an NRP rally. This is a Nevis rally. This is a Sink It's Nevis rally. So it doesn't matter which party you support. You know that I'm an NRP and that is not going to change. But it doesn't matter which party you support. You're interested in the cause. You want to help us to fight against these demons who want to sell out Nevis. You come to the square in Charlestown and you participate by showing that you're interested in making sure that our lands don't go out of our hands and we become strangers in our own lands. So that's tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 o'clock. The speeches will start around 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and just to say that the national color for Friday is yellow. So if you have a yellow shirt, you're welcome to wear that. Any color shirt you want. You want to wear white, pink, purple, it doesn't really matter. But the national color, because of the week of celebration for independence and heroes, the national color be yellow. And so feel free to come dressed in your yellow.
Let me appeal to our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts to come over and join us in this rally. We are in this thing together. What is taking place on the island of Nevis will take place on the island of St. Kitts. And so therefore we have to fight to preserve that which we have for our future generation. So please come over, jam down, get the crew together, rally the troops, and we come over, be with us.
They say when your neighbor's house is on fire, you must wet yours. True. Not your neighbor's house is on fire and you say it's not you. And so that is not going to happen to you. So we want you to be a part of this rally tomorrow afternoon. And we're seeking truth. Because we're dealing with a man here who don't seem to be able to tell the truth. Listen, we're coming back. We'll fix a couple of things and we come right back and get into our discussions.
Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, But girl, tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you,
Okay, we're back live in the studio. Again, let me say thank you to some wonderful people who gave me such brilliant lighting and a great setting last week when I joined via Zoom, and saying good night to Annika, Clinton, Joy, and Gail. Hope that you're doing very well.
Sound like you make some new friends.
Very much so. Very much so. And and you know me, I go in the place and I meet good people. I invite them to Nevis, so maybe we might see them in Nevis one of these days. So that's it. Gentlemen, let's get to the meat of the matter. No, we'll discuss the matter tomorrow, but we want to discuss it today. Dr. Daly, you have been doing such fantastic research and presentation of the facts. I noticed that you put out a piece to say that one of the proponents in this whole scheme, the land grab scheme, has been buying up land in Nevis since 2021. It is frightening to me that our premier, who has shown that he's a stranger to the truth, that he is not aware, was not aware until he was confronted by Carleen. And thing is, according to a preacher friend of mine, he sent Carleen to read Genesis. He need to read the whole Bible because he seemed not to understand when to talk the truth, how to talk the truth, and the fact that truth is truth and truth will come to light. But you discovered that Roger has been purchasing land in Nevis since 2021.
Yeah, initially we thought that the whole conspiracy started in 2023 when it became very obvious that something was happening. But from my research, it showed that it began even earlier in 2021, and perhaps even earlier. We don't know yet because we are still looking. But the earliest record we have so far is 2021, when the gentleman Roger Ver, who is one of the main architects behind this libertarian movement, purchased in total 80 acres up there on Saddle Hill, 74 from one family and 6 from another. And so I was taken aback by the fact that the premier has professed that he knows nothing about Roger Ver, and I kind of find it hard to believe that such a large purchase will go unnoticed by the premier of the country. Especially since there was already talk as early as 2021 about the objectives of Roger Ver being in the Federation, and it was clear that the objective has always been to try to move towards this legislation which we now have that was passed on August 11th to establish the SSZ. So, it's been a long road hidden from the people of Nevis. And we're now discovering it piece by piece. As you peel back one piece of the onion, you find another piece. And so, for the premier now to profess, and I can understand why he actually doesn't want to be associated with anything with Roger Ver, because Roger Ver has a criminal past.
But he was associated with our good friend at MSR who has a criminal past.
He was.
The premier seemed to know how to search and find these criminals.
That I think he's now becomes overly sensitive to the accusations that he harbors criminal like a magnet would harbor nails.
Well, he's linked to Critchfield and Donaldson. Both of them went to jail.
Yeah, the iBank people, the other bank people. I mean, he has quite a lot of skeletons in his closet when it comes to choice of people to associate with. So I think he became overly sensitive about the history of Roger Ver. And for those of you who don't know, Roger Ver is an American cryptocurrency. They call him the crypto god or goddess, or what they call himself. Jesus. So he's quite wealthy. He's valued over $1 billion. And he was convicted by the U.S. in 2002 for trying to sell explosives over the internet. And he was jailed for, I think it was 10 or 11 months. And after his release, he became very, very wealthy from this Bitcoin, which was then coming into fruition early. And so in 2014, he renounced his U.S. citizenship, got a St. Kitts Nevis citizenship, and has, I understand, a residence in Frigate Bay. So he's been around for a while. He's now sitting in a prison, or I don't know if he's out on bail, but he was apprehended by the Spanish on the request of the Americans and on tax evasion and tax fraud for the tune of $48 million US. So he is fighting extradition back to the US. And so you can understand why the premier is very sensitive about being linked to Roger Ver. So he has been basically hidden in the background. I'm not certain what effect his pending charges have on his acquisitions here on Nevis, because the U.S., when it comes to the IRS, they don't make any jokes with their with matters like this. So I'm wondering whether the U.S. will move to acquire those acreages that he has purchased, saying that it would have come from ill-gotten gain or illegal gain. I'm not certain, but we need to find out how exposed we are as a country to the ramifications of that. So, but long and short is, Roger Ver is very much linked to the other persons, meaning Olivier Johnson, and we know this gentleman, Mr. Brooks, Graham Brooks. They call him Butter. He's smooth like butter, so they call him Graham Butter Brooks. But he has been on the ground here on Nevis on several occasions to deal with the hard nut cases, people who are determined not to sell. So he comes in from England to try to butter them up and have them to part with their land. But those three that we know of are the principles that are engaged in this libertarian movement to establish their own government or their own country within the island of Nevis.
Well, listen, here is my challenge. Nevis is open for business, and we want Nevis to develop in a systematic, proper way where the people of Nevis can benefit from such development. But we also trust our leaders to be honest. Mark Brantley all along has been shady in this whole thing. Remember this statement.
Well, I don't know because I'm not privy to the sales agreements. So I don't know what is being sold for. So I don't know.
That is the number that's
You hear live?
I've heard. Listen, there is nobody in the world who could convince me that Mark Brantley was not aware of the land sales. Nobody.
You're absolutely correct.
It's impossible to have not known. Totally impossible. That quantum would have raised eyebrows.
Plus, listen, I've been in cabinet. I've sat around the table. And especially in times like these where there's a money crunch, where finances are scarce. And you look at the numbers. I remember Joseph Parry would look across the table at Roberto Hector and you know, you're looking at land sales. Because when you have land sales, there are fees which go to the treasury. So, Hector, what do you have? And Hector will say, well, you know, these are the lands which have been sold in this period. These are the taxes which have been received. So the amount in the treasury is X. You want to tell me that Mark Brantley, as Minister of Finance, in this hard guava crop, did not know that all that acreage was being sold and that the government had collected from the sales so much money? Where do you think the money come from? Somebody said a prayer and the money drop out the sky?
What is also bothersome to me, Carlisle, is I'm looking for the figure here. Give me a 1 second, real quick.
I think the tax on those sales are 10%.
Yeah, I can tell you right off the bat that the government will have collected $860.08 from that sale.
And the Premier didn't know?
He did. And this is from the 74 acres only.
It means that there's a disconnect between the Treasury, the Ministry of Finance, and the Minister of Finance. I can't believe that.
No, you're getting over $250,000 into the Treasury at one fell swoop, and you're not going to know when reports are being generated all the time about income.
Impossible.
There's another concern I have, though, gentlemen. Reading through the document, the land sale document, I was a bit concerned. So I would have called some friends of mine who have land very adjacent to this piece in a place called Lower Prentice in Saddle Hill. And one gentleman told me he had his land evaluated not by him, but by a bank. And the valuation for 5 acres was about $2 million. All right. Now, this land, this 74 point whatever acres, when you break it down, the cost per acre was about 35,000 EC dollars.
It's a rip-off.
So I'm wondering why so cheap in the first instance, and where they're trying to avoid paying the full amount, because this is being paid by the seller. because the gentleman is a CBI citizen, so he pays no alien and holding license. So this tax duty now, the tax stamp as they call it, is now paid by the seller of 10% of the value. $14,000 US or 37,000 EC dollars. That is, to me, in my estimation, and everybody I've spoken to feels that is way undervalued. And I wonder how they got away with it. Because normally, if something raises an eyebrow, Inland Revenue can go in and say, listen, no. We're going to have an evaluation done on this because this is way too low. All right? I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm saying this 14,000 raises eyebrows, raises a flag in my head. When adjacent properties are selling for much more, but more than this. And so it's concerning whether, people are told, listen, look the other way. Never mind that. This is part of a bigger issue for us. We don't want to scare the gentleman away. So I don't know. There's too much red flags here for me to decipher which is right and wrong from now. But I would think that in 2021, we are just coming out of COVID. Broke as a dog. You will look to recover every penny. And you also like to know, well, where's this money coming from? So for the Premier to say he does not know or have no knowledge of Roger Ver or anything like that or any lands, I find it a very big stretch of the imagination.
Listen to me. There is nobody, like I told you before, who could convince me the Premier did not know. But the Premier also said that he was not aware of this very same project at the Hanley's Road Town Hall meeting. Well, and he couched it so. There is no formal proposal. Listen to me. There is a time to be honest and upfront with your people. All the Premier could have said, listen, there is something that has come to us, but we are still studying the document and having discussions with the people.
Did he ever disclose at the Gingerland or the Hannes Road meeting, did he ever disclose when the conversation occurred? Even though it was the informal discussion as he described it, did he ever disclose it happened when?
No.
Okay.
But I'm also putting on the table, Dr. Daly and Tulu, the fact that the Premier broke off discussions with Simon Lowe of Amman and one and only suggests to me that the Premier might have had a hint of these people. Because when you look at the timelines and all of that, the time when he stopped talking to Simon Lowe was shortly after Simon Lowe had gone on Van Radio, made a statement on Van Radio, and Mark Brantley distanced himself from him. But the lands had been bought. The first set of lands were bought in 2021. Simon Lowe went on the radio after that. Mark obviously knew something. Hi, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening to you, gentlemen. I just got a short, small contribution. You see this part where you all discussing right here, right now, tonight? This is where people go to jail. When out of all of this discussion, when it get to this type of level here, like cover up and fees and taxes are not being collected, this is where government officials go to jail. You cannot do this type of stuff in America and some foreign countries. That conflict of interest and using your office to enrich yourself, that's where the politicians then get jammed up in other countries. It just seems like people can get away with this type of stuff and sink this Nevis all the time. And the judicial system, the next question I would ask is, why aren't the lawyers them going against the government in situations like this? Why aren't the lawyers them on the ground picking up cases like these and trying to at least represent the people? Because we're talking about the Treasury not collecting the amount of money that they're supposed to collect. Every time when lands change hands, I mean, is there instances when lands change hands, people can get away? You know what I mean? I know they have loopholes where some people might say, well, yo, I'm taking this land and I'm gifting it to somebody. But these type of acreage of lands, these are not gifts. And when the treasury don't collect the money and there's cover up, some persons need to be brought up on charges. And that's, I'll leave it there for tonight, man.
Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen, I want to put something to you. I don't know if you are aware, Dr. Daly, I think you might be aware. Something is happening in that Saddle Hill area that we're not aware of. And you probably will come to light sooner rather than later. But are you aware that there is an area down there in Saddle Hill where they have a pretty kind of stone that people use for stone masonry? I mean, Nevis is known for stone work and so on, but we normally have the volcanic rock. I've been walking down there in the Saddle Hill area, and there's an area down there.
I'm familiar with it.
Pretty decent area too. But the stone is totally different to what you find anywhere in Nevis.
If you want to see an example of the stone, the Christina Museum right here, the Christina Memorial Site, is made from that stone. It's a pink striated stone, very pretty. So there's copious quantities of it down there. I'm not certain the value of it, but it sits there just between Stockpen and Indian Castle. So I'm quite familiar with it.
I've actually been on the site.
Okay.
And I've seen, and it's there. You would, I mean, if you're going to do it in significant quantities, you have to do some mining. But it's totally different to what you find in the west of Nevis. And I'm wondering if this is one of the reasons why these guys have their eyes set on that area.
I think they have the eyes set, whatever resources they would have there. And this is another part of the puzzle. If by chance you acquire these areas, does the resources on that property now become yours?
Yes.
When you buy land, the water is not yours. The geothermal is not yours. So, is there something in our legislation that authorizes ownership of mineable material if you find it on your property? I don't know.
This development is that a normal development. In the normal development, you buy a piece of land on the island of Nevis. Whatever natural resources that belong to the state. In that case, that piece of property will no longer belong to Nevis. It is an independent, sovereign enclave, whatever is they belong to them.
But this is a gray area that we're not certain about, and the danger also of it, because these are conversations, as Dr. Hodge like to call them, where are the guardrails? Where are the stop signals on this project? And we are not seeing anything because you have taken physical planning, which is the major guardrail for development, out of the equation. Everything now revolves around the permission granted by the Premier or the Prime Minister. You've totally X'd out the only or the major guardrail for development anywhere in the country.
I want to suggest also that these investors did not came here and went and look in that area. They were directed there by persons who's in authority in the government.
Okay.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm always good. Always good. Just, the devil is always in the details, right? We're talking a lot about mineral rights, and we're talking about legislation, but the real kicker is going to be the development agreement, because that will describe all of the concessions and the rights of ownership in that area. So, under normal circumstances with mineral rights, if you're given permission to mine, whatever it is, you should have to pay a royalty fee to the government for taking out the resource. The next thing I'm looking at is, are they going to be paying VAT down there? Because if you take the Four Seasons, basically the only revenue Nevis makes out of the Four Seasons is the 10% VAT. And if, what the Premier said, if you have 3 resorts down there, let's say they're the same size as the Four Seasons, and they're going to be 5-star resorts. You're looking at 600 rooms. 3 times 200, that's 600 rooms. So let's say there's an average room night cost of $1,000 a night. In the season, it'll be higher. In the off season, it may be low. So 1,000 times 600. This is US dollars, eh? That's 60,000 US dollars a day in VAT. Okay? Let's assume 50% occupancy. That drops it down to 30,000 a day, averaged over a year. So in 1 year, 365 times 30,000. In 1 year, the VAT revenues for those 600 rooms should come up to 10,950,000 US dollars. That's 29,565 EC dollars per annum. Okay? So my question is, development is great. Okay? But what's in it for the people of Nevis? What's the revenue stream? Because if you give away all taxes, there is zero revenue stream. You might have some workers working there and they'll bring some money out and spend it in the economy. Now the next thing is, if it's duty-free and VAT-free, and Carlisle Powell gets a day pass and goes down there, and there's shops, and he buys a nice jacket, a pair of shoes, buys some groceries. Now when he's coming back out of the zone, is there going to be a customs post to charge him VAT and duty on the items?
That's a good question.
No, without publicizing the development agreement, without seeing it, that's why you have speculation. So this is one of the cases where I think in the interest of the developers, in the interest of cabinet, in the interest of the NIA, and in the interest of the people of Nevis, this is one instance where transparency would be a win-win situation. It would be best for all concerned. It would stop any speculation, as I've just speculated, right? Because that is purely speculation, but on the information I have so far, I think it's reasonable speculation. So this is the one instance in our history where transparency, in my opinion, would benefit all and sundry.
Thank you very much. And you did the hard work, you did the figures. So we're grateful. And those figures lead me to something else. Gentlemen, we have not heard that the Ministry of Finance, that the Treasurer, that the PS in Finance, that they were consulted. We have not heard what are their recommendations. This project seems to have been delivered to the Cabinet, and the Cabinet, which is this is one of those, you just make kite out of what kind of paper they call it again? Out of tissue paper. This Cabinet is like tissue paper. I don't see, when you look at this Cabinet, who can say, okay, all right, Mr. Premier, have you thought about this? Have you thought about? All of them going to say, yes, sir. How much money you say? Oh, you said billion? Oh, yeah, let's go with it. Listen, this is serious business. What is the advice coming from the Treasury? What is the advice coming from the Ministry of Finance? Has the Premier been his only advisor? And if that is the case, we have a problem. No, Mr. Premier has been on every single radio station, in every shoebox. He has been in every coconut shell sailing across a pond that he can go to spread his news and his version of why we must have this zone. India has 1 billion people. The Premier found himself on a podcast with an Indian And don't think it was by accident.
Oh, no.
It was deliberately, carefully monitored and set up. The information in that podcast was not shared with the people of Nevis. We had to find out by accident that the Premier was on this podcast. He was asked a question about enforcement of the rules. And he spoke around and about and never answered the question. But let me play that question and his response for you.
One of the questions here were strict environmental and social standards look good on paper, but enforcement is often where things fall short. How will your administration ensure those rules have real teeth against powerful developers? And I think that probably speaks more in line with a couple of the CBI things that have taken place right the way across the Caribbean.
Right. So I think it's an excellent question, and I'm going to be blunt with you. Part of our problem in small island states is capacity. You know, I joke with my friends all the time, and I say that sometimes if you need a particular doctor, there may actually be only one person in the entire country who has that expertise because we're so small. And so oftentimes we have to rely on expertise from outside and to bring people in. You know, an environmental czar, for example, somebody who's going to come in and assist us. So we're very open to that. I think, however, that every developmental sort of thrust starts with the idea. So you have to first have the idea, then you fashion the framework. And then I think what this question is talking about now is how do you monitor and how do you enforce? And I think that comes down to getting the right people, having the right framework, getting the right people, and showing the level of seriousness. And I think that seriousness comes from political will. When we engage with developers, as you say, quite powerful developers, people who are very well financed, sometimes having checkbooks, I would say, and profit and loss statements that are much bigger than the country that they're coming to invest in. So we understand that. I mean, when you look at major companies, say a company like Microsoft, I mean, you know, their bottom line is much bigger than most countries in the world. So the reality is that we understand the power dynamic, but it really comes back to political will. And we know that for an island our size, sustainability is critical. Absent sustainability, we will simply disappear. And so this is not just a fireside chat. This is not just an armchair discussion. This for us is our survival. We must be sustainable. We must do more in terms of food security. We must ensure that we wean ourselves off the dependence on fossil fuels for energy. We must have water security, whether through desalination or other mechanisms. But the reality is that we are on the front line of that. There are other countries which perhaps can endure if some part of their country was to become unsustainable, but we simply don't have that luxury.
Where's the answer to the question?
He didn't answer the question, but he did provide a useful piece of information. What is that information? That in order for you to enforce the rules, you need experts, and that we don't have the required experts in Nevis. But Mr. Premier, here is the question. We don't have those experts on Nevis in sufficient numbers. But he did not put the advisory committee in place, you know. He has depended solely on himself and the rest of his cabinet. So if you can't find the expertise in the rest of Nevis, how the hell does it exist within the cabinet alone? How is it that they are not seeking to get experts who so far have reviewed the plans by these people? Who are making recommendations to the government? The government is making recommendations to itself.
If there was ever a non-answer, that was a non-answer. It was filled with nonsense. And persons with...
But it sounds good though.
It sounds good.
As Hensley would say, it's bullshit wrapped up in pretty paper.
If you don't know and you can't disaggregate or decipher what the Premier is saying, he said nothing. A lot of words strung together to make it sound like he knows what he's talking about. Now, you have a situation where we have very bright people in the Department of Physical Planning. Very bright people. They have been able to be good stewards and good technicians to guide us through a development phase. They're not the best, nobody is perfect, but I think they do a pretty damn good job. All right? We have expertise here. The problem is they have removed the expertise from the equation, which is physical planning, the Department of Planning. They removed all technical people from the ministries, from the planning, and replaced it with politicians. And anytime you have a situation where politicians replace technicians, you have a problem. And you have a big problem. Because all the safety guardrails are now off. The train is running on the track and have no brakes. Tell me where in that cabinet that we know of, between Spencer Brand, Troy Liburd, the Premier, the girl Nisbet, and Eric, who in there can stand up to anybody technical with any argument of sufficient knowledge to say, no, you can't do that, or you can't do this. It is a non-answer. This, if the Premier says this is a game changer, a serious matter, where we're now moving into uncharted territory, it tells you the urgency is even more clear, that they need to have the requisite expertise resident to deal with matters before they even arise, before they become a problem. It's paramount. You can't be telling me that it's come down to political will. It does not come down to political will. It comes down to having the right resource, human resource, on the ground, which you have already in the physical planning department, to deal with matters like this. If he had simply said to the gentleman, listen, I have full confidence in our Department of Physical Planning, and I'm certain, given the fact that we require EIAs, given the fact that we have strict building codes from ground up, we can guarantee that all the safety guardrails are in place. Because Four Seasons used it, Mount Nevis used it, all the developments of Nevis used it. We ain't sync yet. We're still here. All right? And that is the argument he should have made. Not that it comes down to political will. And where does food security come into this argument? This rubbish he's throwing in there, just throwing all kind of thing, hope something stick. It's rubbish.
It's foolishness of the highest order. We're going to take a little break. We got to make sure that our sponsors are happy. And then when we come back, we'll stay with this argument.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
And welcome back to Tell Me. And let me, before we get hot and heavy into the discussions again, read you a notice from Public Works. And it says that please be informed that from Saturday 13th September 2025, the Public Works Department of the Nevis Island Administration will be undertaking repairs to the culvert which crosses the main street in front of the post office. For this reason, Main Street will be blocked at this location. This road blockage is expected to remain in place for 5 days. The Main Street will be blocked at this location. Access to the business on the section of Main Street from Chapel Street to the post office will be maintained. Public Works apologizes for any inconvenience caused during this construction period, and we shall endeavor to minimize the adverse effects on your business operations. We thank you in advance for your patience and cooperation. So this is from the Public Works Department. Public Works is here. We read your notice. Culture Armor, they don't give us any ads. Eric and the whole CCM government block us. But this is for our public good, so we really notice. We ain't gonna bother with that. Again, on the 13th, we have breakfast. That is Gingerland. Charlestown is on Heroes Day. On the 16th, we have a raffle which will be drawn on
Also the 16th.
On the 16th, and we have one that will be drawn on the 19th. So if you have not purchased tickets yet and you have my number, send me a text and tell me how to get the money, because I want the money too. Gentlemen, found some very interesting clips from inside the news. Let's listen to a couple of them.
If the premier in Nevis has good intentions, and they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but if he has good intentions, he has already lost the communication war because he's responding. And he didn't come and explain to the people what is going on there, what will be going on, and why he wants this place to be so deemed.
And he has not done that even up to now.
And that's the point. So don't come and say, listen to me. If the messaging in that gap comes to the point where, listen to me, you are hiding something, people are getting suspicious. Your wife is involved, yes, in a legitimate business, but she stands to gain substantial if she has exclusivity in terms of the sale and so on.
And how did she know this?
People begin to say, no, this seems like your super honorarium. You want a golden parachute to go, and this is your golden parachute.
This is the case. 100 million is a hell of a golden parachute.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, and listen, the only reason why the premier is appearing on every single radio station he could find, except 2020, is because he has already lost the communication war. Chesley, I totally agree with you. Let's play another one.
And why is this a special zone as opposed to me who live in Charlestown? Why is not Charlestown a historic zone with most of those benefits and so on? People are going to ask the question. You have to be prepared to answer the questions. You could come and have a press conference and bring a press kit answering some of the questions, and then you follow up. Messaging is important. And I know people who have land. They have a right to ask the tough question in a democracy. I know they have been approached to sell their land. And I'm going to say this. If the premier had to go and make a broadcast, it means he was ahead of with his messaging. He wasn't ahead with his consultation. He is now reacting and responding.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you're reacting and responding, more often than not, you already lost the fight. Because all the people who are leading the debate, what they have to do is to keep on moving the message and moving what you have to respond to.
Can't put it any better than that.
Yeah, I've seen the spin the premier tried to put on it, that the NIA has not been engaged in selling any land, and therefore the accusation that the government is selling off Nevis is not accurate. And on the surface it sounds good, but in reality, do we know the position of the lands at the government-owned estates at Indian Castle and Stockton? There have not been any discussion regarding claims that those lands have been sold. There have been no proof produced by the premier or any of his cohorts to say, see, these are the documents, the lands have not been sold. Because we are hearing the involvement of Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation into the Indian Castle and Stockpen estates. We are hearing conversation that they either have been sold or have been leased to these developers. Now, this is troubling. And if the premier is saying that government is not selling land, then they need to tell us clearly and show us the evidence that no land has been sold at Indian Castle or Stockpen. Otherwise, speculation will continue. And we're going to end up with kind of divisive conversations and accusations and counter-accusations. These are very serious matters, and people are very nervous, and rightly so, that there has been no consultation regarding the disposal of any government asset in that area. And so it's for them to have come to the people and said, listen, this is the area of interest by these developers. The estates of Indian Castle and Stockpen are not involved at all. The estates owned by National Bank and Social Security are not involved at all. These are substantial holdings. The Stockpen estate, the part of Stockpen estate held by National Bank is over 230 acres. The estate owned by Social Security, Winter Forest, is 138, 140 acres. Has a deal been made with those institutions to dispose of those lands as part of the project? And we need to know, because by design, the NIAA and the people of Nevis are holders of shares in National Bank and the Federal and Social Security. They own those institutions, and therefore the people of Nevis are part owners of those institutions. And therefore, if any sale has occurred, whether National Bank, Social Security, or through Nevis and Housing and Land, we, the people, need to know.
I agree. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you tonight?
I'm giving God thanks. Dr. Daly?
Yes, sir.
I want to personally thank you for opening up the eyes of Nevians, for educating us, for putting this business forward. That position you take should have been taken by the government of Nevis. Now, let me tell you something. I listened to Dr. Bartlett Monday night, and I want to say again, congratulations. And you know why I have to believe what you and Dr. Bartlett said? Because the Premier knows nothing about it, according to him. And he's saying in July he did not know anything about what this lady was talking about. Dr. Bartlett had the document in her possession. She tell you what chapter, she tell you what line, she tell you what page, which she is dissatisfied, and it's cause for concern. I don't think she made up anything. She had the document. She tell you exactly where to find what is what. The Premier has not come with anything other than a mouth full of lies, as my mother used to tell me. Well, let me tell you something. Anything starts wrong cannot end right. And I cannot believe nothing that the Premier and the people of Nevis should not. And I'm not talking about his past, because we know his record and death. I'm talking about presently. If you, Dr. Daly, did not bring it to the fore, and the pressure come down on him, he would not have said one word to us. He is working for us, the people of Nevis. He became the Premier because he come and beg for votes. He got the votes, and he's now representing us. If he refused to educate us on what is happening, and the opposition or other people had to come forward, you guys give us reason to believe that what you are saying is true, because according to the Premier's own words in July, he knows nothing about that. He's now playing catch up, and he is so far behind. I expect that he will never catch up. I'm calling on the people of Nevis to remember tomorrow, we gone past NRP and CCM. You either for Nevis or you're against Nevis. You either for your great-grandchildren or you're not for them. You either for the generation unborn or you're not for the generation. These lands are owned by ordinary people. And some would sell 10 acres but want to hold back 15. That 15 is for you. But when the enclave, or whatever they call themselves, start to take over, based on what I was listening, they're going to have certain rights when they don't get X amount and this, that, and the other. Those same lands might be taken away from you, and legally it seems as though you don't have no right to it anymore, because they have been given certain amounts of permission to do certain things to us after they come here. You know what frightened me? You know what frightened me? When the Premier said about 7 to 10,000 people. That is frightening. And you know what? We can't go there, but they're going to be able to come in here. So whatever they want to come in Charlestown and do, they could do it, whether legal or illegal. And they're going back in the corner. And we cannot go over there. Neither police, immigration, customs, nor ordinary people. This issue is a serious issue.
Thank you very much. Interesting. Let me play what the Premier said are the requirements for the SSZ in his funny accent. Let me play that.
So, for example, people who are interested in these zones, developers, there are a number of preconditions that they must satisfy legislatively, which speak not only to the economic impact. They have to produce an economic impact report from a reputable international firm. They must also demonstrate that they will produce their own water. They must demonstrate how they're going to generate electricity, up to 70% of which must be renewable. They must demonstrate, of course, how they will finance their infrastructural improvements within their zone. They must demonstrate how they're going to provide healthcare, how they're going to deal with waste management. And they must demonstrate that they have a plan that is efficacious in dealing with heritage sites, if there are any within that zone, in dealing with historic sites, and of course in dealing with the environment. So it's if you will, the first attempt that we are aware of globally to bring the principles of sustainability into play in determining how we move forward with the economy and with the economic advancement of the country. So I think it's a very interesting idea and one that we're looking to. We already have tremendous interest being shown in these zones. The legislation was only passed a month ago on the 11th of August, but already there is tremendous interest, and I'm so happy that I have the opportunity to discuss some of the details with you today.
Go ahead, Daly.
I need toilet paper. I really need some toilet paper because I've never heard such bull in my whole life. He is making it sound as if that the idea behind a sustainable zone, it was his. He's making it sound as if that he is the one that insisted on having their own power, their own water, their own hospital, everything like that. No. These people want to have these because that is the only how they can insulate themselves from the rest of us. By having your own power, water, health system, school, port, it means they don't need you. So the idea of sustainability is not one imposed by Mark Brantley. The idea of sustainability is a condition for the survivability of that enclave. Because they don't want nothing to do with us. They want to be here and not here. And so they have to provide all these infrastructural development works, the power, the water supply and all that. Brantley is talking as if he put that in there. He had nothing to do with that. It's a precondition of these enclave people that they want to be self-sufficient in generating their own power, their water, and blah, 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 blah. It had nothing to do with him. So he's making it sound to the world, yes, we have a new idea of sustainability, and we are going to insist on it. No, it didn't go like that. That document came prepared. I have read, you see what he reading there, talking about all these things? I've read those, coming off the same playbook of the developers. So all he's doing is regurgitating what they tell him.
What he read.
What he read. There's nothing original about what he said because it's all written there. Just today I was reading it and I said, this sounds very familiar. Went back and listened to the tape. Almost word for word. So he's not bringing anything new. The people wants to be sustainable, not be a part of our community, not be part of our power grid, not be part of our water system, not be part of our school system, not be part of our healthcare system. That is the reason. Nothing else.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carlisle. Good evening, Dr. Daly. Good evening, Tulu. It is my belief that this that we're talking about is already happened, huh? That is what frightens me. It's already happened. Now we've got to wait to see what the second part of this, how it plays out. What is happening right now, and why the furor and all of this on every radio station and all that is because the pressure is coming down from those who have already ensured that this is going to happen, to make sure it moves forward quickly. Now, one of the things that amazes me is that the people of Nevis, people who didn't have a lawyer's degree or a university degree, worked hard and purchased those lands for their children and their grandchildren and their family members. And the government, all these years, you hear how these lands have been over there for all those years. The government has collected the owners of the lands' monies for all these years. And I've never thought it's a priority to put certain things in place, like accessibility to the lands, the roads, the water, the electricity. Had those things been done, maybe we would have a different picture right now. It hasn't been done. What also concerns me is that that's not the only place in Nevis that there can easily be an enclave. There are different parts of Nevis where Nevisians own land and have no accessibility to those lands. Upper Morning Star is one of those places. And they're paying their annual taxes every year. The government is collecting their money to now watch it be handed over to other people because the lands have been there for all these years and nobody has done anything about it. Who do these guys think they're fooling? I just want to urge Nevisians, part of this whole exercise you guys have done a superb job, to keep listening. Listen intently, come out tomorrow, discuss, stay on top of this information, because next week could be a whole different set, a whole nother set of bubble that we're going to hear. And it is amazing and frightening to me that we are working hard for our family members and loved ones to watch a group of people come in here, take them over easily. And this coming, Nevisians should have heard about this a long time ago. This thing has been in there for a long time ago. Nevisians have been contacted 2-3 years ago and put on the phone with some of these same people. Dr. Daly, thank you for putting that information today on your page, because it confirmed for me at least that I wasn't dreaming, that what I knew in my head was a reality. Okay? And this has been going on for a long time. This is a done deal. This is a done deal.
Thank you very much, Carla.
There's more to come. There's more to come.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, let me put something on the table. Daly, I know that you have read this SSZ Act. But let me put something on the table, because it concerns me. 5E. 5E says that the developer shall provide evidence of ownership or lease of or agreement to purchase or lease the real property comprising the area as of the time of entering the development agreement. Mark Brantley said that there was no formal proposal before him. Why is he entertaining these people? And I suspect that the government might have given approval in principle. Maybe they have. But if they have given approval in principle, it must be based on my reading of this information, that the zone developer has provided the evidence of ownership or lease, or that they are well on the way towards getting that ownership or lease agreement by the time they are ready to enter the development agreement. Because if they gave a proposal to government, it says that they are ready to enter the development agreement.
Yes.
That is them saying, hey, listen, this is my offer.
And further to that, Brantley should be in a position to tell us how much land they have already acquired.
Correct. Acquired or leased. Because this is dependent on that. And this is where you say again that the Premier has not been telling the truth to the people of Nevis.
The vexing thing here for me, and Daly outlined his concern about not getting the information about the lands. But the vexing thing is the deception of Sharon and Mark. When Sharon approached some of the persons and asked for their lands, a developer wants your land to develop. What type of development? I can't tell you. That's deception. Something is fundamentally wrong there. Because if you're approaching me to buy out my property because an investor according to you want to develop my land, and I'm asking you, well, who is the developer and what type of development, and you're saying to me that you cannot tell me, something is wrong. That's a red flag. Now, since February this year, when Yolanda spoke to the Premier at a press conference after listening to you, Dr. Daly, about that southern development, the Premier started lying to the people of Nevis about that development. And one of the things that he said was the people in the area are approaching his wife to sell. He didn't tell the truth that his wife is hounding down people to sell off their property. And so while the Premier is lying and deceitful on one hand, and the wife on the other hand is hiding the information from the people who she wants to buy out from, and so on, it tells us that they know that something is fundamentally wrong here, and this is not going to go down well with the people of Nevis. And so they are hiding and hiding and hiding. And then in July, when the Premier is trying to insult Carlin, and then came back and said he knew about it since 2023. That is the reason why they did not continue the road project as they had planned to, because he knew. But in July, he didn't know anything.
I suspect
something is fundamentally wrong here.
I suspect he knew even before 2023.
Oh yes.
Based on the purchases by Roger Ver of the 80 acres, he knew something big, as they said, was happening. Now, there's, conversations have been had about what's happening down at Indian Castle. And I know for a fact Nevis 3, Eric Evelyn, was approached by people who wants to help beautify the area down there in Indian Castle. And he told them, no. Leave it just so, because something big is coming. This conversation happened a long time ago.
They all knew.
They all knew something was coming. They keep saying something big is happening. And now, you see, my problem is that based on the manifesto of these people, these libertarians, they have said they intend to auction off the lands they purchase. You can't auction off the leased property.
No.
You can only auction off what belongs to you. So it gives you the impression that whatever lands are in that SSZ already owned can be auctioned. The Premier has not said anything, but let's go.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Getting better and better.
Yes, Mr. Powell, question. Why was it a rush for the government to go and build those wells and the desalination plant over in the Butlers area close down to the beach? Why would you consider that? And one other thing, the road development. People in Nevis should be aware that the plan for the road development over in the area has been done a very, very, very long time. The government of Nevis refused. One of the reasons they were fighting for the fair share money was to use the taxpayers' money of Nevis to do the road into them people's land. Put in the water and the lights. Remember the talk about the bridges? You always talk about it, when Nevis could do bridge and stuff. All them time that was the idea. When we work at Public Works, I tell you, I try to tell Nevis people, I used to go over there with one of my farmer supervisor on that road, because he tell me the Premier send you over there go look into the road, because all of us work at asphalt plant. So they've been looking at the design of the road long time, me tell you. That is why he was getting high to argue about fish here. The government of St. Kitts know about it. That is why Timothy and Jew refuse to give the man enough money to do this project. That is why he get answer. He will change government in St. Kitts until he get through. But like I say, if it wasn't for Lawrence, if it wasn't for Carleen, who is a lady, and now the leader of NRP, who is a lady, see how strong woman being a Nevis? Thank you, our gentlemen.
Have a good night. Thank you very much. Listen, let's go make sure that our sponsors are happy, and then we'll be right back.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico,
Do you know what you're
way
drinking?
to go.
If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Carla, good evening. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, good evening, Carlisle, Daly, and Tulu. Great show. Carlisle, there's so many red flags in this proposal. This Sustainable Development Zone, whatever they call it, SSZ. So many red flags flashing, red lights flashing. Stop, pause, Nivisions, wake up. I heard Daly listed, or I think it was you, Carla, who played a tape with the Premier trying to sound so eloquent, listing some of the requirements in order to have one of these zones or to operate in one of these zones. You know, at no time he mentioned what the government has in place in terms of sustainable development and what the standards are that these people have to meet. It sounds to me that they are the ones making up the standards and providing the standards to the government, as opposed to the government doing due diligence and having standards that CARICOM have looked at and other countries are looking at. Everything seems to be handed to Mark Brantley. The other thing that I must say, and I'm going to be very blunt about this, and Nivisions must understand this, Libertarians, and I make no apologies for it, Libertarians are racist people. They do not care about black people, empowering black people, or anything like that. That's the core of their beliefs. And, you know, these people always sought to take away people's lands, just like what happened 500 years ago. It was always about land grab, make you powerless, and then you work for them and you become slaves. Let me tell you one of the frightening philosophies of libertarians, and that's the civil liberties. Libertarians strongly defend individual rights, including freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and the privacy from government intrusion. I want to underscore the right to keep and bear arms. So just imagine for a while, seven to 10,000 people with the right, freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and privacy from government intrusion. Isn't that frightening for Nevisians? Because that means that they can bring arms in, and at any time, Nevis doesn't have an army to defend itself. St. Kitts has some little army, but they cannot defend themselves. They have a right to bear arms. And it also means, too, that if you intrude as a Nevisian in that zone and anything happens to you, you have to suffer the consequences and you don't have a government to defend you because they have their own government. This is frightening on every front. Nevisians, please, wake up, put a pause on selling your land. Anybody who's coming to you, asking you to put your land in an escrow account and a percentage of the value of the land in an escrow account, should raise a red flag to you. I have no apologies to make. Four Seasons is the largest development I know that has taken place in Nevis since 1992. Do you recall any kind of secrecy around the Four Seasons development, Carlisle, Daly, and Tulu?
No, I was old enough to be aware of what was happening down there at Four Seasons.
Okay. Did you hear anything about having a private zone?
No, it didn't happen.
Four Seasons area?
It did not happen.
Did you hear anything about having our own government and our rules and regulations and not respecting the rules of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? You heard nothing about that. This should tell you something. And imagine 7,000 to 10,000 people who do not look like us, do not believe in us, have no interest in us, landing on our shores. Seems like we're becoming landless peasants again and slaves again in our own country. Nevisians better wake up.
Thank you very much, Carla. Part of the frightening challenge for me, and we keep talking about this sovereign state within the state of St. Kitts and Nevis and within the island of Nevis. And I don't think people quite understand what we are talking about. I'll come back to that after this call. Good evening, caller.
Carla, good evening.
How are you tonight?
I'm Mr. Daly, the warrior. Thank you for the good work, Mr. Daly. Carla,
yes.
I want to tell the people at Nevis to please go to the rally and support Nevis, man. Don't let these people get away with all this nonsense. You all hear what the brother was just talking about? You all understand it? If you don't understand it, go to one your old teacher, and they will explain. Because when men understand things in Bastille, I got to Moonlight, and Moonlight break it down for me. And when Moonlight can't come up with the law part about it, I got to Chesley, Terry Boy, and Juicy, and they have to put me right. Please, Nevision, give Janice a chance. Let me get this nastiness over with the Nevis and St. Kitts. Because I was just saying to myself, listening to the young man talk, that we have a prime minister. Nevis is so close, St. Kitts, and he can't come over Nevis to deal with the opposition. But he could go Ethiopia. You understand? You see how these young men think? These young bad men we got around here, calling themselves MP and want people feel like they're so nice. Please, Division, please go out and support the rally. Please. We plain to you all. Don't let these people get away with Nevis like that. Tim Daniel fight, and he fight hard for these land. He take up Nevis money, buy land.
What I was making is that some people can't understand this sovereign enclave. Some people don't quite understand that we're going to have a state within a state. So let me read again what will happen over there based on the law that was passed in the parliament. These people will have their own infrastructure, which means they're doing all their own roads. That's their own development in that 3 mile or 6 mile area. And the area is big enough for them to have their own airport, their own heliport. It is big enough for them to have their own port of entry. These people will provide their own water, their own electricity, their own healthcare system. They will provide their own public safety. They say public safety. When we say, if they have an issue over there in the sovereign enclave, they don't come to St. Kitts Nevis, the Royal St. Kitts Nevis Police Force. No. They have their own dispute resolution services. I wonder if people understand what I'm telling you. Good evening, Carla.
Hello, good evening, Carla. How are you all doing?
I am getting better and better.
Okay. I think it's Belgium is a country where they have this enclave story, right? And the president or whoever was in charge is being charged in another country for money laundering or all kind of thing. The government of the day now has a situation where they try to repeal the legislation, and the people them are now claiming they want $5 billion in lost revenue.
Now, Belgium, man, we have one right here in the Caribbean.
Okay.
You ain't got to go too far.
Okay. So I want you to tell me what is likely to happen when the government changes and they decide to repeal that piece of legislation. What is likely to happen to St. Kitts Nevis?
It's not going to be 5 billion. The lowest 5 in that is going to be 25 in terms of the suit. So you don't worry about that. But listen, this is not going any place. This enclave that they are trying to force on the people of Nevis is not going any place. It just will not happen. It just don't make any sense.
And I just want to be sure.
Thank you very much, Carla.
Take it.
It sounds good that it will not happen. But this thing has the backing of the whole St. Kitts Nevis government. They are hell bent, come hell or high water, to get this thing going. And the thing is, whether it happened, yes or not, we must understand the Bradley family going to walk home with their millions. Whether it happened, yes or not, it will have no impact upon them.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Carla, me again. I think you leave out two things, you know. They're going to get the private hospital and a helicopter pad. So you know what's going to be happening.
No, I spoke about those.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Caller, good evening.
Yes, good night to the listening public. Good night, Mr. Daly, Tulu, and Carla. I want to challenge you guys to do the research on the Chinese man at Four Seasons. And you might be surprised to see how many lands he gravel so long. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Daily, that right in your back pocket. Some Chinese man, they're saying, who has bought lands. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Caller, Rajabah. What's the last we heard of Rajabah? Isn't that he's somewhere in Spain in prison waiting to be extradited back to the U.S.?
I think he's out on bail, but he had to surrender his travel documents.
Okay. Now imagine a man wanted by the U.S. And let's say that for some reason he doesn't go back to the U.S. What will the U.S. start to think of us down here who got that man living in Nevis, in sovereignty within Nevis? Do you think the U.S. is going to be a partner for St. Kitts Nevis? Good night.
Thank you very much, caller. We have an extradition treaty with the U.S. because people have been extradited before. But the U.S., them fellows don't worry about them kind of things. No? All they do, they say, hey, listen, we're suspending visas to Nevis.
But there's a
you don't bother apply.
There's a great danger, and I think it was alluded to one of the callers a moment ago. Because if these persons are outside of the law system of St. Kitts and Nevis, it means also that they are free to deal with their own financial services as they see fit.
Everything.
So, who is going to be regulating that? You know, the banking system. I mean, we can be easily blacklisted because we are already under the microscope with our CBI program. We are already under the microscope regarding our our financial services sector. And here come now with a totally unregulated enclave, which will draw serious attention from any world in government. And you just have to say, listen, we're going to stop your SWIFT system and we're dead.
Good evening, caller.
Yes, Mr. Powell. When there was a budget recently, we learned that the government of Nevis was hacked. Do you know what information was hacked and what information who have it? And because some of us out there in Nevis believe that people is blackmailing us, because for a government department to be hacked, and in the budget debate, the minister said that even the telephones of all the ministers went down simultaneously. So who knows what people is carry around on their phone and what information was sent to certain people telling them if they don't do certain things, because I was the Prime Minister and he's reading off of his phone. So I keep saying, suppose somebody get these people phone like the Premier say he lost the phone. So who found the Premier phone and has gotten certain information that the Premier, remember he keeps saying, he's not a kunumunu. He not act like a kunumunu. There is a reason why the Premier is using these terms. And nobody gonna fool me. We out here who got street sense, no. People is being blackmailed on this island. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Stay focused. I remind you, we're coming up to 9:42. So I remind you that tomorrow in the Wallwin in Plaza in Charlestown, we're having a little nice, peaceful rally. So you just come on out, be a part, listen, ask questions, get information. The Premier has come to us and he has said that he don't know a lot of things. And when he tells us what he knows, he frightens us. Because he said, listen, in order for you to have this SSZ, you need 500 to 700 acres of land. And then he said that is not in the bill. Mind, he's the man who jumped up and inserted that area, 500 to 700 acres, and you don't have to believe me.
But I believe that these zones, Madam Speaker, and this is my view, that there ought not to be a proliferation of them within the Federation. That given our size, if we are going to designate an area as a zone, that we ought not to have multiples of these all across the country. And I feel as a result that one way to guard against that, we will be proposing from this side an amendment which says that no area intended to be subject of a development agreement shall, in the island of Nevis, comprise less than 500 acres, and in St. Kitts less than 750 acres. Put differently, I believe that if somebody has an acre of land, 5 acres of land, they ought not to be able to come and say they want to establish this type of zone on their acre. And I believe that's important because, as we have seen with the Citizenship by Investment program, when some people hear that there's money to be made, everybody starts to ask a favor. Could I get my thing registered under this scheme so that I can benefit? And sometimes it doesn't work to the interest.
I'm going to wonder aloud whether or not his brand he was trying words on. But before you go, Tulu, I want to play this other one because he said he don't want a proliferation. Nobody with no 1 to 5 acres must come and apply and ask for favors. So listen to this next clip.
So if you're out there right now and you have an acre of land, you have 5 acres of land, you are equally entitled to apply, if that land is in Nevis, to the Nevis Island Administration, and if that land is in St. Kitts, to the federal government in St. Kitts, to have your land designated a special sustainability zone. Provided, of course, that you can satisfy the requirement.
Listen, you want the first one again? Okay.
But I believe that these zones, Madam Speaker, and this is my view, that there ought not to be a proliferation of them within the Federation. that given our size, if we are going to designate an area as a zone, that we ought not to have multiples of these all across the country. And I feel as a result that one way to guard against that, we will be proposing from this side an amendment which says that no area intended to be subject of a development agreement shall, in the island of Nevis, comprise less than 500 acres, and in St. Kitts less than 750 acres. Put differently, I believe that if somebody has an acre of land, 5 acres of land, they ought not to be able to come and say they want to establish this type of zone on their acre. And I believe that's important because, as we have seen with the Citizenship by Investment Program,
I don't stop it there.
When
you stop it right there, because the Premier in Parliament is saying that if you have an acre or 5 acres or whatever, you cannot apply.
No.
But when he got on his soapbox to go cuss, he turned around and reversed the whole thing.
Yep.
If you have an acre or 5 acres or whatever, you can apply. That again shows to everybody how dangerous Mark Brantley is. And this is his history, saying one thing now and reversing the very same thing tomorrow.
If the objective is to prove Mark Brantley a liar and a deceiver, we have accomplished that years ago.
But some people still believe in
right?
that.
Well, some people will. I mean, you can't stop people from believing what they want to believe. All right. But beyond that, beyond the deception and beyond the lies, is a really serious matter of him not ever mentioning the word sovereign.
Careful.
Afraid to tell to the people.
It's very careful.
The intent of this legislation is to separate us from this development from the rest of Nevis. Not only physically, but politically separate, economically separate. He's afraid to address those concerns. So he focuses on those things that he feels comfortable saying. Oh, the government has no land. This is private deals between private people and the developers. Fine. But if these people are approved, your government is now entitling these people to do exactly what they're doing. So you can't separate yourself out and say, well, the government has no land to sell. It's a private deal, while you have authorized, through those land acquisitions, a country within a country. So you cannot wash your hands and say, my hands are clean. You can't do that.
It's
because if these developers bought land, people buy land all the time. But they have now been empowered through the SSC legislation to act differently than the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a part that he's not speaking about.
He will not.
And that is a part that his supporters have not been spoken to about. Because, I mean, come on, it's not a comfortable conversation. And nobody wants to know that they're on this wrong side of history. So they pretend that what the Premier is saying is the truth and the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. There are landowners, all the way from Long Point, all the way to Indian Castle, who have said to the developers, we are willing
to sell parts,
to sell you piece, but I cannot sell you all because I have children and grandchildren that need a legacy. So I'm willing to sell you some.
No.
They don't want some.
Want all.
They want all of it. And the reason they want all of it, because they need to have an exclusion zone where you're not included. They need to exclude you from that zone, and so they want all of it. But and you wonder, listening to the Premier, who is he working for?
Developers and his family.
He has not done a single thing to say, Nevisians, I'm here to protect your interests. I'm here to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Those of you who are selling
we are going to make sure you get a fair price with a fair contract for your land. That is what governments do.
But he told it that the
But what
government has
he's
no
doing,
involvement.
but what he's doing is the complete opposite. He's acting as if he's a shareholder in the development, and therefore whatever savings he makes goes back to him. He's acting like a shareholder.
Well, he's the chief spokesman
But
so far.
and that's the part I don't understand, because he should have learned from the court case with Justice Dramdani over there with Candy Resort versus and Bass, that he was caught out by the judge, scolded by the judge for the same activity. You are acting like you are not the Premier of Nevis. You're acting like you are the developer. And so he gets on his high horse and says, listen, these lands have been out there for 80, 100 years. Some people got 100 acres. Trace the development of Nevis for the last 50 years. And you see housing, you see developments going into areas that were once not developed.
Including Hamilton.
Right? So you can't say this is wasteland. It is land in reserve for our expansion and our growth and our development. And you as the Premier should be safeguarding to make sure that land is used judiciously for the people of Nevis.
And money in it. Good evening, caller.
Good evening. Well, when the Premier don't say all kind of thing about the land out there and it's not developed and underdeveloped, when the people who own those lands are paying taxes, what is the purpose of they paying taxes? Is it not for infrastructure? And let's go further. Well, who owns Sispan? And who owns Cove? Years now they closed down. I wonder if the Premier noticed, because you see what happens in another long point. I wonder if he noticed that Cove and Sispan has been closed almost a short at least 30 years. Then the heart of tongue, and to me they're sore eyes, and I'm sure some of his supporters will be glad if they open and they get a job. So when you're talking about those lands over there, I think that if the people are paying taxes, the government owe them to put the infrastructure. Because if that happens, you would see development, and we would have no need for these people. Because you know what happens? Since they having they own this and they own that, what will happen if somebody from that enclave come into Charlestown or come into Nevis? Because they don't have a different name. I'm only waiting to hear what. They come and they commit a crime and they go back over there. What happens? What happens? Who going to deal with it? If it can be dealt with at all. Because let me tell you something. The color going to be different to ours. That is to start with. And so we don't know what will happen to somebody who got one color coming up against somebody with a different color. Divisions, a warning are you. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Tulu is 9:54, so we can hear from you with the wrap up.
Well, I hope that the information that we share this evening open up the eyes of the people of Nevis, and if nothing else, the Premier has been lying to us, being deceitful, very deceptive in all of his utterance in relation to this South Coast development. And when he and his wife has to go to the extent that they are hiding from us, the people, what really the plans are for that particular part of the island, it should send a message to all of us that something is wrong. And he says, if it quack like a duck, it is a duck. Okay, and so therefore it smells bad, it smells fishy. Come out tomorrow afternoon in Charlestown, we'll share more information with you. I encourage my friends and the people of St. Kitts to come over and join us in this fight. All of us is in this thing together, and we have to preserve the island of Nevis and St. Kitts for our future generations. Good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daly.
10,000 people. I want people to imagine.
You gonna take that, Carl?
No. No, it's too late.
All right. Well, do something about it.
Callers, we like when you call early, because you know when Carlisle is in the chair, I don't like going beyond 10 o'clock. So you got to get in early, because late calls carry us overtime, and I don't like to do overtime.
Yeah. 10,000 people spread along the southeast of Nevis. And most likely, these 10,000 people will be CBI divisions, petitions, citizen by investment. And if you are one of those persons and you have citizenship by investment credentials, it means that even though you live in that zone, you still have a St. Kitts Nevis passport. That sounds incredible. So you're dual citizen of Destiny and of St. Kitts and Nevis and wherever else you may have. But the danger for us is not knowing how politically active these people will be. Because imagine 10,000 people. You can fill Grove Park with 5,000 people. Imagine twice Grove Park, full of people, line up to vote. They can change the course of Nevis to the direction they want it to go. They might even be the leaders elected. I mean, the legislation speaks to the fact that you can't be a foreigner and be prime minister. I don't think it applies to being premier. But we are going down uncharted territory, uncharted waters. We are, as the premier said, the first in the world to be experimenting with this. We are guinea pigs. We do not know where this is going to lead or what the ramifications are. We are the smallest country in the United Nations. And yet we are taking on the biggest risk. It doesn't seem to make any sense. I'm certain that these people have approached other countries in the region or the sub-region or internationally. Why is it that we feel that we can manage this? And as the premier said, with very little resource, human resource and capital, to manage to make sure this thing stays on track, doesn't come off the rails. It's a huge responsibility. And the premier is being quite nonchalant and even dismissive as to the ramifications of having us on the front line of this development. Because then, if it goes through and anything goes wrong, we are now legally liable as a country to these developers. And so we are moving in a very, very dangerous way. And the premier doesn't seem to understand, or he doesn't care to understand, the danger at which he's putting us. If you want to bring a hotel development, bring it. If you want to bring whatever development, bring them. We are open to investment. But for Christ's sake, do not make us guinea pigs into a development that we have no control over. How can we sustain that? How can we manage that with the kind of billions of dollars these people have? Bigger countries can't deal with this. Why do you think we can? What makes us so certain that we can deliver the kind of safety guardrails that bigger countries can't? This libertarian movement is nothing new. They've been around for a long time, trying to find a home, trying to find a government stupid enough to take them up on the offer about sustainable living. And they found one in Mark Brantley. Mark Brantley had to convince Dr. Drew this is the way it should go. And because of the bromance between them, Dr. Drew said, man, go ahead. We don't have no intention of doing it in St. Kitts. But you go ahead.
We're going to see how we go. I'm certain now with the pushback that's now facing Dr. Drew and this legislation, he's having second thoughts. And that's perhaps why the bill has not been gazetted yet. Because it's been a month. September 11th, tomorrow will make a month since this bill was passed and not gazetted. Normally it takes between 7 and 10 days. It's been a month. So it tells you there are second thoughts being expressed privately by the federal government whether this thing here is the right way, right mode of development we should go on. And I can tell you categorically, it is not. We do not have the institutional strength. We do not have the human resource capital to manage a development like this. We can deal with our Four Seasons, we can deal with other developments. And to make bad matters worse, the Premier has taken onto himself cook and bottle washer,
chief cook
and bottle washer responsibilities, taken out physical planning from the matrix. So all decisions now are made by cabinet, Brand, and the hospital background, Troy coming to public works to education, Eric, Lord of Mercy, the young girl Evelyn, Nisbet. Where are we going with these people? They are the guardrails? Come on now. Let's be serious. I know people out there who are traditional supporters of CCM. But I want you to say to yourself, I want you to look at this with an unjaded eye, as an unbiased eye, and ask yourself, is this the best we can do? Is this the direction we want to go, into the unknown? Come on now. If you're a reasonable thinking person, you can't say this is right. You can't say this is right. Okay.
Leave some for tomorrow. Dr. Bartlett, let me say good night to you. I know she has been having a rough time recently. She has a niece who will be buried tomorrow, and she has an aunt to pass. So, Dr. Bartlett, we wrapping you in our love and sending our support your way. I'm taking a very simple close. The Premier, in response to a question from his Indian friend, said that we don't have the experts to deal with the enforcement of the rules. And even though we don't have the experts to deal with the enforcement, the Premier has restricted it to his cabinet. The legal advisor, and no daily like to leave out the legal advisor and the cabinet secretary, but add them into the mix. They are part and parcel of this. So the Premier and his cabinet, they have recognized and admitted they don't have the experts, but forget about that. They are still restricting everything inside. So physical planning out of this. People at Treasury out of this. People at the Ministry of Finance, you out of this. The Premier is the only expert on this matter. And all that he can see, according to him, is billions. And that some people, not everybody, because there is only one real estate agent involved in the process that I am aware of. One real estate agent going to make the millions. And then not too many lawyers going to be involved. And so when they finish, according to what I heard from Chesley Hamilton, maybe he's seeing this as his golden parachute. Don't be surprised if the Premier is not playing these people and playing the people of Nevis, because he could now go to these people and say, hey, we passed the SSZ in Parliament. Is the people of Nevis stop me and say then I want it, but me don't make me money, me wife don't make she money, and so we good. Don't be surprised if he's not playing one against the next, because I just think all kind of things. He covering himself. Don't make him money, and he will make more money. But tomorrow we're going to be at the D.R. Walwyn Square in town from 3 o'clock right down until 6 o'clock. So come be a part of the rally peaceful. We're not causing no confusion. It's a peaceful rally where we are going to be having conversations with the people of Nevis. And I urge you, Nevis first. Nevis must come first. So we're going to see you tomorrow. Until then, I'll be good.
Tell me what you want.